Hi guys, today we're going to make shortbread cookies. So the first thing we're going to do is get out the recipe, and the second thing we're going to do is turn on the oven. So we want it to be 350 degrees, so we're going to turn that on now. It's always a good idea to read through your recipe once before you get started, just so you don't make any mistakes. And then get all your ingredients together. So I have my butter and some vanilla, icing sugar, cornstarch, and flour. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure and start whipping the butter. We want the butter to start out quite soft, and we want to whip it to add quite a bit of air to it so that the cookies turn out nice and light and fluffy. Easiest way to measure butter when it's even amounts, like a half a cup or a cup, is to actually use the package and cut it. That's the easiest way. I bought pre-measured butter this time, so I'm using 2 sticks, which is the equivalent of 1 cup. So that's half a cup. So I'm just going to start that whipping. Every couple minutes you can take it and scrape down the sides so that it all gets evenly whipped or beaten. It's not really being whipped, it's just kind of being whipped up. My butter was really soft, so it isn't going to take too long to whip. Let's see how nice and kind of light and fluffy it is. It's very soft. That's kind of what you want it to look like. So next, we are going to sift together the flour, the cornstarch, and the icing sugar. And the reason we use a sifter is just to get any lumps out, and also to help mix all the ingredients together quite nicely so that they combine and make a nice light cookies with no weird lumps in them. If you don't have a sifter, that's okay. You can measure the ingredients like normal and then just stir them with a whisk or a fork to get it nice and mixed. We need 1.5 cups of flour. I always stir my flour up just a little bit. It's a little bit more accurate measurement. Flour settles a lot while it sits, and so it can get, you would wind up with more flour than you need, and then your cookies might be a bit dry. So the proper way to measure flour is to put it in the cup so that it's kind of heaping, and then just scrape it off the top so that it's level. Put that in the sifter. That's 1 cup. We need 1.5, so I'll measure out another 1/2 cup. And then we need 1/2 cup of icing sugar. Also level. And 1/4 cup of cornstarch. And then you just sift it. You might have a little bit of lumpy stuff at the end. Just kind of push it through with the back of a spoon or your measuring cup. And now we're going to take our sifted ingredients and we're going to add them a little bit at a time to the whipped butter. So I'm going to kind of just put a bit in there. And then I'm going to turn my mixer on to low to mix it in slowly. And then as it gets mixed into the butter, you can turn it up a little bit. Otherwise it makes a huge mess. Once the first little bit is all incorporated, like that, you can scrape down the sides again. And add a little more of the flour and cornstarch and sugar mixture. Again, start off really slow with the mixer. And then you can add the last little bit. I'm going to turn it off and scrape it down one more time, and then I'm going to mix it for another minute or two to make sure it's really well mixed. And then the last thing is just a few drops of vanilla. What I sometimes do when I only need a little bit is I use the lid and I just pour a little bit into it, and that way I don't accidentally pour too much. So I've just poured a little bit in here and I want just a few drops like that. And there you have your batter. It's ready for the next step. This is what it looks like now. It's nice and light and fluffy. So next, we're going to get 2 teaspoons. Now this is how you put cookies on a pan without touching them. You take one of your teaspoons and you scoop up a little bit onto it. You take the other teaspoon and using the back of it, you just push that lump off the spoon like that. These are called drop cookies. So that's all we actually do is just drop them onto the pan. They don't need to be rolled or squashed or anything. So we're going to put 12 cookies on the tray. Most cookie trays fit 3 across and 4 down. So we're going to fill up the cookie tray. Your oven should be up to temperature by now. I have to check the thermometer in mine because I have a gas oven, not an electric one, and it doesn't have a light that tells me when it's ready. Now, the next step is optional. Some of you might have candied cherries. They're called glace cherries. But I really don't like them. And so I stopped using them a long time ago. Now, I take a spoon, a teeny tiny little dessert spoon, and I just press down a little dent in the middle of the cookies. And then after I've cooked them, I fill up that little dent with jam. Red jam, because it makes it look Christmassy. The other thing you can do is you could sprinkle a little bit of colored sugar onto them to make them look festive. You could press the cherry into them, or you can just leave them plain. I'm going to make a dent in mine so I can fill them with jam. So this is my tray of cookies. It's going in the oven at 350 for 8 to 10 minutes. So make sure you set your timer. Don't rely on the clock. I'm going to use the timer on my phone, and I'm going to set it for, I'm going to set mine for 10 minutes because I know that my oven is slow. You want to set yours for the lowest amount of time and then check them. So that would be 8 minutes. So I guess I'll set mine to 8. Mine won't be ready though. Yours might. And then we wait. So I will see you in 10 minutes. All right, my timer's going off. So I'm going to have a look at the cookies. They're close, but they're not quite lightly brown around the edges. So I'm going to put them back in for another 2 minutes, but I'm going to turn them around so the front is at the back and the back is at the front now. Sometimes there's hot spots in the oven and it helps to cook them evenly by doing that. So 2 more minutes and then they should be ready. And there goes the timer again, so we'll have a look. Now they're just starting to get a teeny bit brown around the edges, so I would say they're ready. You can't take them off the tray right away because cookies, when they're first out of the oven, they're quite soft and they can crumble really easily. So while I still have them on the tray and while they're still hot, I'm just going to take a little bit of this red jam and put it right in the middle spot that I dented before I put them in. This is homemade blackberry jam, but you could use strawberry or plum or anything you wanted, really. Or, like I say, you could have used the cherries or that colored sugar. But I like jam in it. It's quite good that way. Grandpa does too. Usually when I'm making cookies, I get the second tray ready while I'm waiting for the first tray to come out of the oven. So normally I would have another tray of cookies in the oven right at the same time, or two depending on your oven, but my oven's very small. So today I'm just making one batch. And that's all there is to it. Wait about 5 minutes. They should be cool enough to take off of the cookie tray with a spatula. And then let them cool completely before you put them away, and then you can put them in an airtight container and they'll keep for a week or so if they last that long. They don't really in our house. And that's shortbread cookies. See you soon.